The Utah Jazz have shocked the entire NBA. After trading their two star players in Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert, everyone thought the Jazz would pull the ultimate tank job to get Victor Wembanyama. However, we were all wrong, as the Jazz proceeded to go 7-3 in their first 10 games of the 2023 season and have looked like one of the most complete teams in the NBA. Let's go over who has stepped up in the Jazz's red-hot start, why this likely isn't a fluke, and answer Brian Windhorst's legendary question: what's going on in Utah? The thing that really started this all for the Utah Jazz was when they traded Royce O'Neal for a 2023 first-round pick. And by the way, this was before they even traded Donovan Mitchell or Rudy Gobert. And at that point, you knew something was up. And that's why Brian Windhorst said, what's going on Utah? But, this is a totally different what's going on in Utah for this video, because the Jazz have been unexpectedly good. Now, this is no knock on the players they have. They have a really, talented group of players, but there were really no clear stars to where you could say, okay, the Jazz are going to rely on like these one or two players, and these guys are going to be able to carry them to the playoffs. Because even looking at their roster before the season, they had a really, nice collection of players as far as good shooters, solid starters in, various teams. And it looked like a good group of guys for the most part. But really, when you have no star talent like what they have with Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert, you're not going to really expect to get much further. But with the Jazz starting off 7-3, I kind of really think this isn't a fluke. And I'll get into this more in a little bit. But basically, the reason why I have the thumbnail like I did is because really all the main guys that are contributing, in a big way and helping the Jazz win are all guys from the Cleveland Cavaliers, which is pretty funny. Because if you think about it, right, Jordan Clarkson came over to the Jazz. It was either 2019 or 2020 towards the trade deadline, and actually no, it was 2019. He came over from the Cavs, right? He was having a six-man of the year type season. Jazz need another scorer on their bench, and they trade for Jordan Clarkson, right? And now the Jazz got, they basically finessed the Cavs again, right? Getting Lauri Markkanen and Colin Sexton. And Lauri Markkanen had his, injury issues at times throughout the season, and Colin Sexton obviously didn't even really play at all last season. And those two guys are really huge pieces for the Cavs. And the fact that they got both those guys in the Donovan Mitchell trade, including a couple first-round picks, including Ochai Agbaji, they absolutely fleeced him in a sense. But also, if you think about it, right, the Cavs got what they wanted from that trade. They got Donovan Mitchell, who has just been an absolute stud for them. I can make a whole other video about the Cavs. But, having said that, let's kind of get into the guys that have really fueled this resurgence for the Utah Jazz. First up, we have Lauri Markkanen. He has literally been the breakout star for this team. Through 10 games, averaging 22 points on 51% shooting. Now, he is only shooting 29% from three, but he also has 9.4 rebounds, 2.7 assists, and he's just been an absolute stud. Leading this team in scoring, leading them overall. He's been kind of playing a small ball, 3, 4, even the 5 at some times. He's had a really good year defensively as well, kind of like he did last year. And man, he's just been the breakout star from this team. And I don't think really anybody expected this, but at the same time, the Jazz don't really have any go-to scorers. So somebody has to step up and fill that role. And that has been Markkanen, and he has just been excellent. Hopefully he can stay healthy and keep this up throughout the rest of the season. Obviously, health has been an issue for him, but I'm confident if he does stay healthy, he can keep up this production, and maybe he's going to be a first-time All-Star. And in that case, he could be the NBA's most improved player. Next, we have Jordan Clarkson. He became the starting two guard. He's obviously been the sixth man for the team for the past 3 or 4 seasons, but the new coach has decided to start him, and he's averaging 17.4 points, also averaging a career high in assist at 5.3 a game, which is pretty neat, and he's also shooting 36.3% from 3, which is solid, and he's been a big piece as well. He's been really clutch in late game situations, which is a huge reason the Jazz have won as many games as they have, and I'll get to that in a bit too. And then we also have some other guys, right? So we have Mike Conley, 35-year-old Mike Conley, right, in his, I believe, 15th season by now, and he's still putting up just great numbers. Looking like Memphis Mike Conley, right? 11.9 points, 41.2% from 3, and 7.4 assists, which I believe is a career high, with a plus-minus of 5.2. So Mike Conley continues to do his thing. I thought they would start Colin Sexton personally. I know Mike Conley is getting paid more, but he's the older player, and the Jazz did give Colin Sexton a big contract in that sign and trade. But as we'll get to right now, Sexton has been the sixth man. He is only averaging 13.6 points, but he is shooting career highs 47.4% from the field, 39.4% from 3. He's been a really good sixth man off the bench. I don't think he'll get like sixth man of the year or anything, but I did expect him to have a little bit of a larger role. But nonetheless, he's been really efficient in the minutes that he's gotten. He's really helped bolster their bench, and I think that balance of having Mike Conley start and Colin Sexton come off the bench has been pretty solid for them overall. So those are kind of the main 4 guys. I can get into other guys as well. Kelly Olynyk, right? He was averaging about 12 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, shooting 59% from 3, by the way, which is ridiculous. And then you've also Jared Vanderbilt, who's kind of been the starting 4 or 5 man. He's averaging 9 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists. Then you have also other bench pieces, right? Talen-Horton Tucker, Rudy Gay, Walker Kessler, just kind of a really good mix of young and old guys, but they can all really shoot. That's been a huge reason they've been successful. They just move the ball really well. Everybody's super unselfish, and they just play very together, both offensively and defensively. And that's probably a huge reason they've had this resurgence. Now, are they going to probably go 7-3, for every 10-game stretch of the season? Maybe not, but here's why I really believe that this definitely isn't a fluke. So usually there are probably a few teams every year within the first, 10 to 15 games that get off to a really hot start and then kind of, either plateau or fall off the radar a little bit after that. You could say the Spurs are an example of that. I think they could keep it up for the most part for the first half of the season, but I mean, the Spurs, no offense, aren't the most talented team just yet, so I don't know if they're gonna be able to keep that up throughout the entire season, but we usually see a few teams like that every year. Now, there's really one kind of big reason why I think this isn't a fluke for the Jazz, and that is the quality of their wins. And, when I look at other teams in the past that, let's say, weren't expected to be that good and have gone off to hot starts, really the quality of the wins, let's say, wasn't as profound as, let's say, other teams in the league that also got off to hot starts, right? And you look at the Jazz's schedule, they did not have an easy, first 10 games for the most part. They're playing some of the top teams in the Western Conference, they're playing on the road, and the Jazz are beating all these teams, and that at least tells me that they are capable of that. And because of that, I don't think they're going to necessarily fall off. I mean, you saw in the first game of the season, they destroyed the Denver Nuggets at home, right? 123-102 win. That was huge. I mean, the ball movement was there. It was just an unbelievable game, to be quite honest. And then their next game, right? You go on the road against the Timberwolves. Also not an easy team, by the way. They're projected to be one of the top teams in the Western Conference. I know they've gotten off to a little bit of a shaky start, but they're still a really talented team. And they come in, they beat the Timberwolves by 6 and score 132 points on them, right? That makes them 2-0. Then they play the Pelicans on the road. I believe that was the next day or the day after, right? They have CJ McCollum, Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, guys that can close games for them. And they were still able to beat them on the road. Like I said, that's already nuts in itself. Then you go to another huge win, right? At this point, the Jazz are 6-2. They get a 121-105 win against the Grizzlies, right? The Grizzlies. This was the second seed last year. They were still a really talented team. I know Ja Morant didn't play that game, but they've had a better record, when Ja Morant doesn't play than when he does play. I'm not discounting what Ja Morant does. They're obviously way better with him, but still, that was also crazy. And then last night, which is obviously the day I'm recording this video, probably won't go up this day, but they beat the Lakers by 14, also on the road. And the Lakers are also starting to get things going and looking like a lot better team. So, when I look at those types of wins, right, the quality of wins that they're getting, how they're doing it, the fact that they're actually winning in the clutch, and that's a lot of reasons why the younger teams aren't successful. This is with the Warriors in 2020. You're seeing this with a lot of young teams like the Pistons, right? They can't close out games. They're in these games, right? They're giving these really good teams a run for their money, but they just can't close it out. And the fact that Utah is already closing out games on the road against the top teams in the Western Conference, that tells me a lot of who they can be. So I'm really excited for the Jazz. Let me know if you guys think that, guys like Larry Markin and Jordan Clarkson, Mike Conley could keep up this play. I think that they will offensively. I don't know so much about defensively, but offensively, man, their three-point shooting, the ball movement, they're a really, really fun team to watch. And I hope they do keep this up and surprise the NBA. This would be really cool to see. And Larry Markin is having a great breakout season. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this kind of different breakdown. This is completely unscripted, and this is something I don't do. But nonetheless, hope you guys enjoyed it. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.